Hello everyone, welcome back. This is James at Living Gardens Homestead. Thought I'd come to you today to let you know what I've been up to. It's still pretty cool out there, some snow on the ground. But anyway, this is January the 30th, and I wanted to let you know yesterday, well, the day before yesterday, it was up in the 50s, and I thought, well, I better go out and check my bees. Now, as some of you know, I'm trying to breed my bees to where they will take care of the mites themselves, and I've got nothing against chemicals as far as treating your bees, trying to keep them alive. But I don't want to take any chance of chemicals getting into my honey, and I like my honey to be all natural. And if at all, I would rather have bees that I wouldn't even have to feed in the winter or spring. But now, we all know sometimes that's not possible. But anyway, the way I normally do with my bees is in the spring of the year, I let them build up, and then when it comes around May, we get the poplar flow coming in, and I usually make a lot of honey off the poplar. By last of June, I usually rob my hives, and but not all of it. I try to leave some on to get them through the dearth. And when fall comes, I don't take any of their fall honey. And usually they've got a deep filled up with honey from the fall, usually. Now, it depends on the year, depends on the flow. But usually what I'll do is I'll try to leave their fall honey on them, and hopefully they put enough on to get through the winter. And it usually works pretty good. But now I know a lot of people, they'll take the fall honey and they'll take it and then feed the sugar syrup for getting them built up for the winter time. I'm not against it, and I'm not for it. I'm just neutral on that. But the way I see it, you got to do what you got to do to try to keep your bees alive. But what my aim is I want to try to have bees that can put enough honey away for them for the winter, and give honey for me too. And like I said on my last video, there's been a lot of people wanting to see more on the bees, and which the old timers now, almost all of them that I knew that raised gardens and stuff, most of them had bees. That way everything was pollinated. And anyway, those of you that knows, the bees is kind of having a hard time anymore. Used to be you could just throw some bees in the gum and just let them swarm in the spring of the year, and you still got honey, and you didn't have to worry about these diseases and stuff. But nowadays it's just not that way. So I'm breeding my bees for the best that I can get. And the reason I say that, now it's the hives I've had now for about 4 or 5 years now, these hives. Now, I've been into bees for a long time, but for the past 4 or 5 years, what I've been trying is I've went down to I'd say probably at the most 6 or 7 hives. And these hives, I try to take the best and create in the next year. And this past year I had 5 hives. Now, as far as honey production goes, these bees they produce honey, but I'm looking for survival bees. I'm looking for bees that can survive. And I'm breeding from my best queen. But out of the 5 hives, now this is without treatment now. I don't want to treat them. I'm wanting to try to get bees that can survive on their own. So I don't treat them. And this year I had 5 hives going into winter. And like I said, I leave my fall honey on for the bees. And this like I said, is January the 30th. And I went in the 28th and I checked my bees and I lost 3 hives. And I still got 2 hives. I put, just to be sure they had enough food, I didn't have time on the 28th. So what I did on the 28th is I had some fondant that I made, and I put about 1.5 pounds of fondant on top of the 2 hives I had still alive, and covered them back up. Well, then yesterday it was up in the 50s again. The bees were flying good, they were doing good, and I thought, well, I'm going to go in there and see what's wrong. First of all, I went into my hives that had died, and all 3 hives, now the queens I believe was 2 or 3 years old in those hives. I didn't replace the queens. And I went into those hives trying to find out, okay, what's went on here? What happened? Did they starve? Did they not put enough honey away last fall to get them through the winter? Well, when I went into those hives, the bees that were left, the ones that died, they were just a small clusters, real small. And I thought, well, Then I got to looking, they had plenty of stores. They had plenty of honey. And I'm like, well, they put away enough honey last fall to get them through the winter. So I got to thinking, you know what I think happened to those bees? I believe last fall, those 3 hives, because the colonies were so small that had died, I think they lost their queens either last fall or through the winter sometime. Something happened to the queen, because there was no sign of where they put any brood at all. So they didn't have a queen to lay eggs to build the brood up to where they would be enough brood to hatch and have enough bees to keep them warm. So the colonies are too small, first of all. So my thoughts is those 3 colonies has lost their queen, which is probably my fault because I didn't replace the queens last year. So they were older queens. Now the 2 colonies I've got left, they are big colonies. They've went through the winter really well. They've got plenty of honey. They're doing really well. And I've got 1 colony, it's a little bit better than the other colony. And I'm thinking, well, this is the reason I'm thinking. I went in and thought, well, it's warm enough, bees are flying, so there's plenty of room. And I thought to myself, well, okay, I'm going to go in and see what's going on in the nest. So I opened one of the colonies up, and I went in, and they still had honey where they were at, and they all moved up because I do a double box, okay? And they were all in the top box. So I thought, okay, but they had around their nest the honey, okay? So I thought, well, I'm gonna go in that bottom box to see what's going on. Went into the bottom box, nothing there. They done eat all the honey down there. There was hardly any bees in there. They were all upstairs. So I thought, okay, I'm removing the bottom box. I'm putting the top box down, and then I'm going to monitor them throughout the rest of the month and make sure they're okay. So I thought, okay, there's that colony. It's still doing good. But I didn't go into the nest of that colony. So I went to my other box and I looked in, and they had moved up into the upper box. And they had honey around them, you know, around their nest. And I thought, okay, I'm going to check the bottom box on this one, see if it's the same as the other one. So I lifted it up, looked underneath. Guess what? They probably got a half a deep box of frames filled with honey. The bees had all moved up. So what I did there, for the time being, because we're still in the middle of winter. I mean, you know, we're right in the middle of it. So, but what I did is I took their box and moved their box that they were in to the bottom. Then I took the bottom box that still had the honey and stuff, rearranged those frames to where they would be, the frames of honey, to where they'd be over top of where the bees are, the clusters. That way when they move up, they'll move up into the honey. So before I did that, I thought, now I'm going to check these bees. So I took out my frames, went to the nest, and pulled a frame out. And on both sides of that frame, the queen almost laid half of that with eggs. No brood, no larva. She just started on the 29th, yesterday. She just started laying eggs. Now, she could have had some larvae or maybe some brood on some of the other frames, but I didn't tear through the whole thing. I seen what I needed to see, and I put it back. So I thought I was going to make a video today to let you other beekeepers know that as of yesterday, my queen in that one box has already started laying eggs. Now, by the end of February, if these eggs don't get chilled, if these eggs, and they got enough bees to cover them, keep them warm and everything, and they got plenty of honey to feed them, and if they get these eggs into larvae and get them covered, capped, and to keep them warm in the meantime, that means by probably around the 20th of February, there's going to be new brood hatching out. And if the new brood hatches out, then there'll be plenty of young bees to make comb and to feed and take care of more larvae as the eggs hatch. Now, that means I'm going to get an early start this year on that hive if, like I said, if the weather and everything else works out, because I think by the middle of this coming month, toward the end of this coming month, I believe our maples and stuff will start blooming. And when they do, they'll have plenty of pollen coming in. And if that's the case, then we should start getting some brood buildup or bee buildup pretty fast. And if they do, then I'm going to take from that hive and I'm going to start making me some splits when I start seeing drones and stuff big enough to mate with the queen. I'm going to start doing my splits on that hive. And I think this year is the year. That's a good, strong hive. I believe this year is going to be the year I'm going to get some good bees, lots of good bees. But just to let you all know that are beekeeping. Now some of you may be watching this video that are just considering beekeeping, and I want to let you know we're going to put out some more detailed videos as this year goes on to try to explain how to do your bees. But like I said, I'm looking for a good, strong queen and hive that can give me some good genetics and I believe I've got it now. I believe I've got me a good queen and genetics. And I believe this year will be the year I'll build my bee yard up pretty good, and I'll start producing. But last year we produced off these bees. Last year we produced, I can't remember, and I didn't weigh it, but I'm going to, from now on, I'm going to start keeping notes and stuff. But I would say we've got, last year off in 4 hives, I think we got probably 600 or 700 pounds of honey. That's how good these bees are. And that's the reason I want to hang on to them, and I'm trying to work with their genetics to make them good bees. And I don't see hardly any mites, and usually this time in the winter you'll see a lot of mites, but I don't see hardly any mites. So I'm thinking maybe they've got the genes to where they clean themselves and get rid of those mites. I'm hoping. But anyway, I'm just trying to keep you updated on the bees, because a lot have been asking about them and wanting to know more about it. And those of you, like I said, that are new to it or wanting to get into bees, I'm going to be making more videos to show you how to do your bees. Now, a lot of bees you've got to feed, and I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking. When they build up, by the end of February, they should have a bunch of small bees and some brood. And if they do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed sugar syrup 1-to-1 starting then. And the reason I'm doing that is to stimulate the queen to start laying eggs and them to start raising brood. That way I can build my hives up really early. That way when we get into March, I can start, hopefully the middle of March or so, hopefully I'll be able to start doing some splits and getting my hives I'm going to keep build up, because I'm wanting anywhere from probably 15 to 20 hives, and I think I'm going to be able to get that. These bees are really good. So, but it's took me quite a few years to try to get to where I'm at, and hopefully you all like this video, and I hope I can give you more informed videos on how to raise bees, especially new beekeepers, because the love of bees, some people just have it. They just, like me, I love my bees, and just like I love gardening. And but anyway, it's a little early for gardening, but hopefully we'll have some videos of gardening on there for those of you that love gardening. But anyway, that's the update for the bees. And I'm sure any of you, I'm in southeastern Ohio here, and anybody around this area and across the country, that's probably what your bees are doing right now. They're probably starting to lay eggs. They're starting to build their colony up, getting ready for spring. And if you don't catch it in time, you're going to lose them to a swarm. But anyway, this is James from Living Gardens Homestead. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And like I said, I'm going to try to give you more updates on our bees. And anyway, until the next video, goodbye.